Hello, I'm television and radio producer-presenter Rob McKnight. With over 30 years' experience, this is Media McKnight. Well, has Ricky Gervais stolen another joke? That's the question being asked after an English comedian posted a side-by-side comparison of a joke he's been doing for 10 years next to a routine from Ricky's new Netflix special. The joke in question is by Andy Field in a 2020 BBC comedy special, followed by Ricky Gervais' 2025 Netflix special, which we should point out he won a Golden Globe for. And a warning, this clip does contain coarse language.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
And you're supposed to go, oh no, that sounds awful. But I don't know, I think that sounds fine.
I go, I don't care.
It's the hell, isn't it? It's where the worst imaginable things are. There's a million people burning for eternity in a lake of fire, constantly blistering in agony.
But it's hell. Think of all the terrible things that could be happening to her. Being raped by red-hot pokers, rats eating her eyes.
My mum's down there sucking dicks. Good on you, Lindsay.
My mum gets cock duty. Go on, girl.
Whose dick's getting sucked in hell anyway? It seems like a weirdly positive thing to be happening.
Who's getting their cock sucked in hell? That's what I reckon. Because we're there for punishment, and that's a little treat.
But despite the evidence, the comedian is actually giving Gervais the benefit of the doubt.
If I'm honest, what I think happened here is Ricky Gervais had the same idea as me, independently, on his own, at a different time. I think people love a bit of drama, love a bit of joke stealing. I don't really think that's what happened here, most likely. We've never met. I know I did that bit on BBC One, but no one watched it. I wouldn't have watched it if I wasn't doing it. I think it's an easily havable idea to notice the line, your mother sucks cocks in hell from The Exorcist, and to think about it for a moment and realise that that implies a degree of cocksucking in hell and that that is funny. I had that idea 10 years ago. Ricky Gervais had it quite recently. I don't think he stole my bit. I think we just have very similar bits.
I think that's very generous, because this isn't the first time Gervais has been accused of stealing jokes for this Netflix special. In fact, I accused him of it back in January, right here on Media McKnight. This was the joke in question.
They can transplant every organ now. Whatever's got... Transplant every organ. Not your brain. That wouldn't make sense. You are your brain. So that would be an everything else transplant, wouldn't it? But I'd sign up for that. I don't care about this. It's to get this round. If I could leave £1 million to science, so when I died, suppose when I died, my body's crushed, killed instantly, but my head's intact. They keep that on ice, wait for a body donor. Some poor bloke gets his head crushed, put my head on his body, and I'm back. I know. Statistically, I will get a bigger penis as well, so... The odds are in my favour there, trust me. I wake up in the future, I see the scar, and I go, oh, that's all right. You know what I mean? I go, oh, you've always wanted a big knob? I go, yeah, I've always wanted a big knob. I go, let's have a little bit of me time. So, yeah. And I start, but then every time I look down, I go, oh, that's not my knob. Do you know what I mean? I go, oh, that's not my knob. Oh, that's not my knob. It's not my hand either, carry on. It's like, you know what I mean?
It is funny. But this was the original joke created by Ricky's co-host Carl Pilkington during a discussion on their podcast back in 2006.
I'm not being funny though, so if you have a body transplant, right, and you're there, you're at home, naked, you look down, lovely penis and a set of testicles.
Yeah.
Right? What do you do with them?
What do you mean, what am I doing with them?
Well, do you like them?
Well, you wouldn't mess about with them as much as if they were your own.
But if you did mess about with them, would you feel guilty that you were messing about with another man's testicles and penis?
And it's the full body?
Yeah.
No, because they're not my hands either.
You're a genius! You're a fucking genius!
Still very funny. You know, joke stealing is taken very seriously in the comedy community, and while there's nothing legally that can be done, it really is frowned upon. When it comes to Ricky, we had a big discussion. Maybe he remembered it as being his joke with Carl Pilkington, but now we're up to strike two. You can write one stolen joke off as a mistake, but two becomes a pattern. Tributes have been pouring in for Jamie Dunn, the legendary performer who created Aggro. Here's part of Channel 7's report.
Behind the brash bath mat was Jamie Dunn.
Oh, Jamie, that's just shocking.
Born in 1950, Jamie was the youngest of 3 boys from a working-class Rockley family. As a child, he yearned to be the centre of attention. School wasn't his thing, entertaining was.
I just wasn't very good at maths, English, chemistry, physics.
As a teenager, he found music, starting as a drummer before embarking on a solo singing career in the 1970s.
How many people?
But true success came with Channel 7's Cartoon Connection in the 90s. Aggro and Jamie Dunn were household names.
My next guest is less than 3 feet tall, has more hair on his face than I do, and has Graham Kennedy eyes. Aggro, good evening.
Hi, Mr. Hicks.
The character earned Logie after Logie.
The winner is Aggro's Cartoon Connection!
Together they created a multi-million-dollar marketing machine, producing everything from breakfast cereals to pencil cases.
I know why you won't sing, Jacko. You're not real!
I'm not real, mate. You can talk.
No, I was never serious with Aggro, and that's probably part of the key to his success.
Then there was radio, an original member of the B105 morning crew. Jamie, along with Ian Skippen, Donna Lynch and later Robin Bailey, dominated the airwaves.
I think you forget who makes the show right.
Their wild stunts had the city talking.
He was such a rogue, like he was such a bugger. What we did was fun and it was unique, and, you know, that was very much about those two.
Everywhere Jamie was, there was always a little bit of madness, but most of it was well-intentioned.
But by 2005, B105 was struggling in the ratings. Jamie quit. The offer of more money at a radio station closer to home on the Sunshine Coast, too good to refuse.
You know, it was a really nice tribute until that point, where the reporter got his facts completely wrong. You might remember that Jamie has openly talked about the fact he was sacked from B105, even though at the time they tried to play it off as a resignation. And in January, I had a chat with Jamie in what we believe was his final interview. As we looked back at his life and career, he explained what really happened during that moment with B105. When you left B105, there was a headline at the time suggesting Carl and Jackie O were going to be brought up to Brisbane and networked into Sydney. I've actually got the headline here. Have a look at this from 2005. Dunn leaves B105, fueling Carl and Jackie O rumours. Jamie Dunn has announced he will end his 16 years on air with B105 this December to take up the position as breakfast anchor at the Heating Noosa, fueling rumours that Carl and Jackie O will take his place.
Bloody hell, I've never ever seen that. And, you know, that makes it sound like I resigned, but you know.
No, that was what was said at the time when everything's nice, but you've talked openly about that.
Yeah,
Carl
they
and
took
Jackie,
They took me next door to a cafe, and they said, "Today's your last day. We've got a press conference when we get back. You know, you're finished." And like that's radio. Well, you know, that's like of all people, you know.
Yeah. Ida Buttrose says you're not anyone until you've been sacked in the media.
That's right. When you're in entertainment, all of a sudden the fridge can fall on you. All of a sudden, you can be number one with 27% of the market, and bang, you're done. And I was lucky enough to pick up Zinc FM up the coast. But anyway, I was around having this coffee, and they've gone, you know, you're finished. We're going back to the station. There's a press conference. Everyone's flown up from Sydney. And I said, well, that's not happening. And and I remember Richard Barker going, no, it's all arranged. I said, if you want me to stagger around that car park crying like you've killed one of my children, you'll go ahead with it. If not, you wait until I can find somewhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy that had the meeting with me turned to Richard Barker and said, he'll do it, you know.
And he would have. And look, it's interesting to note that Jamie Dunn was still number one when he was sacked, unlike what that report said. He was a legend and we will miss him. But what is interesting is that he was working on his new Up Late show, a one-off special with Agro for Channel 7. We've talked about that previously on Media McKnight. But what I can tell you is that he was working on that show as late as Friday. Jamie died Saturday morning. And some details from that show have come to light. Agro's father and son were possible elements being considered for the show. We also know that it would have involved Kyle Sandilands. Kyle said he would do it for free. But what Kyle didn't know is that the creators were talking about letting Kyle have a go of the puppet. Now, would that have been the Agro puppet or would that have been the father or son? I don't know the answer to that. And look, a lot of things hadn't been signed off. They were due to have a meeting with Channel 7 next month. Things were really progressing well. And it's a shame we will never see that special. And they've said they're not going to go ahead without Jamie. There's no point and they can't do it. Maybe Channel 7 will do a special tribute to Jamie and Agro. That would be something worth watching. But the special that they were talking about, the Unwoke special with Agro, unfortunately, that will never now see the light of day. And I think we're all a bit sad about that and we're all missing out. The best place to watch McKnight Tonight is on YouTube. Help us monetize the show by going to youtube.com/@McKnightTonight. And you can always become a paid member. That gives you exclusive live streams and early access to videos. Just go to youtube.com/@McKnightTonight. Well, the Carl and Jackie O saga just keeps on going, with every day bringing a new twist. Today, Carl has broken his silence by issuing a blistering statement against his employer, ARN. And this is what he said. I want to speak directly to my listeners, my colleagues, and the public about what has been happening. On 20 February, I had an argument with Jackie on air about something that had been bothering me for a while. I said things I wish I had said differently. That same evening, I sent Jackie a message telling her I was sorry for anything I said that didn't go down well, that I love her and I care for her and that I could have handled it better. I meant every word of that, and I still do. Jackie and I have worked together for over 25 years. She is one of the most important people in my life. The idea that our partnership could end like this is devastating to me. ARN told me that I am not allowed to contact Jackie. They have told me that I am not allowed to speak to my colleagues. I did what was asked, even though it made it impossible for me to do the one thing anyone in my position would want to do: pick up the phone and talk to the person I have been talking with continually for my entire career. The truth is that ARN terminated Jackie's contract on the same day it accused me of a breach. It suspended me from work. All of this happened while I was being told to sit quietly and say nothing. That is not a genuine process. I am not going to pretend that everything about this situation is simple. Jackie told me she was hurt, and I accept that. But we have had disagreements before, and we have always worked through them. That is what partners do. We never needed lawyers or ASX announcements to sort things out. I believe we could have sorted this out too if ARN had given us the chance. I want to be on air. I want to be with my audience. I want to do the job I have done my entire adult life. I am asking ARN to do the right thing, honour our agreement and let me get back to doing what I do best, entertaining the people who have supported this show for more than 2 decades. To my listeners, thank you. I miss you. I'll be back. Now that is a pretty powerful statement, and it's certainly calling ARN out. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next, because it does sound like ARN are trying to have their cake and eat it too. Jackie has raised some issues. She's been dismissed. Kyle has been told to remedy the situation. So how does he do that if he can't talk to anyone? And they're keeping Kyle and Jackie O apart. And employers can do that. Under workplace law, a workplace does have the right to tell you not to contact people. With Kyle, it's a little bit different because he was employed through his company, Quasar Media. And there's certainly been a lot happening over the last 24 hours on the Kyle and Jackie O front. Late Monday, the Daily Telly revealed the two have been talking and want to do radio again. Now, as bizarre as this might sound after everything that's happened, My sources have confirmed this reporting to be true. So that means Carl and Jackie O have been in contact. As to whether this means they will return to the Kiss Breakfast Show, a source told the paper, the ball will be in ARN's court as to how that goes forward. But how can it go forward? Now, they wanted Kyle to remedy the situation. If he says Jackie is willing to come back, then that's a remedy. But how can Jackie come back when her contract's been terminated? That's the question. Obviously, lawyers are involved and this is heading to the courts. It certainly does seem like ARN are trying to get out of this costly contract. It's what everybody's saying. But is the law on their side? There's been plenty of lawyers who've argued that Kyle's actions on that day were not misconduct. It is what had become expected from that show. Now, for you and I, we may not accept our private conversations being on the radio, but that has been the shtick of Kyle and Jackie O for many, many years. So would that hold up? Can Jackie O keep her contract? What grounds did ARN get rid of her and terminate her contract, as they pointed out? I'm a bit surprised that reporters all thought she had resigned. It was very clear in that ASX statement that ARN had terminated her contract. There was nothing about resigning. The only thing she said was that she could not work with Kyle Sandilands or Mr. Kyle Sandilands any longer. Now that's a problem. How did Kyle and Jackie O reconcile? Maybe Jackie has seen the fallout and maybe this hasn't gone the way her and her manager planned. I don't know the answer to that, but it has certainly blown up, and she seems genuinely shocked from everything I'm seeing that the show has been taken off the air. Maybe she thought she would inherit the show. Who knows? But things have certainly not gone according to plan, and the lawyers are going to make a lot of money. And while there are tons of articles celebrating the apparent demise of radio's highest paid stars, others have taken the opportunity to kick the pair while they're down. Like this promo on Triple M that aired the day after ARN made that AXX announcement.
Remembering Triple M Brisbane's Kyle Sandilands.
What no one knows is when Jeff hired me to come down from Triple M Brisbane, too much rock music. Ugh, I hated enjoying it.
Right back at you, Kyle. Right back at you.
Now, I've been accused of being indulgent in the past, but what the hell was that? I couldn't even understand what Kyle was saying, and the only thing I took from it was Triple M Brisbane has a beef with Kyle over something he said that I couldn't understand in the spot they ran. I mean, sorry, what the fuck was that? Like, that was just a waste of airspace, but I'm glad someone got their jollies by running it. I mean, seriously. There are people who may have issues with Kyle and Jackie O, but would the audience understand that for a moment? No. So I'm glad you had your jellies, but Jesus, that was a mistake to run that. Channel 7 has made the bizarre decision not to air the Oscar Awards live next week. The televised event will air at 10 a.m. in all markets. That means New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania will get the ceremony live, while viewers in Queensland, South Australia, WA and the NT will be on delay. In WA, that's a 3-hour delay, while the results will obviously be filling our social media feeds. Now 7 points out, viewers will be able to watch the Oscars live on its 7 Plus catch-up service, and that is a positive. At least there is access available. But before we leave the Oscars there, I have to mention this clanger from 7 that Mulk at TV Black Box picked up. Their social media team advised viewers they could watch the Oscars at 3 p.m, 5 hours after the ceremony. I think someone in the social media department did their time conversions wrong, but since being contacted by TV Black Box, 7 has removed the post. Now, in 2029, YouTube will be hosting the Oscars. That means they won't be available on a free-to-air service here in Australia, but they will be available. You can show your support for the show by buying me a coffee. Just go to buymeacoffee.com/McKnight tonight. Every bit helps keep this show from our garage going. Changes are coming to the way the TV Week Logie Awards will be judged. According to TV Tonight, this year only one panel of judges will review and assess each category's submissions. That means there will be no separate judging panel ranking ratings figures with a score, but audience engagement is still expected to be a consideration. This is a really good move. I've been a judge for the Logies in the last few years, and I've never understood how ratings can play a part in judging the Logies. For example, when you're looking at a news report and judging its quality, how do ratings play a part in that? And also, it doesn't mean SBS can't do as good a report as Channel 7 or Channel 9 or Channel 10, but just because they have lower ratings will affect their overall score. I think this is a win for the industry. Good on TV Week for listening to the feedback. Fox News in the US has come under fire for using old footage of a dignified transfer over the weekend. The footage presented in the clip you're about to see replaced scenes of Trump wearing a baseball cap, a move seen as disrespectful to fallen soldiers. Instead, Fox showed footage of Trump from a previous service where he wasn't wearing the cap.
To your headlines, President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary Lady Usha Vance attending a dignified transfer to honor the final homecoming of the 6 U.S. service members killed in Kuwait. The solemn ritual returns the remains of troops killed in action. It is considered one of the most somber duties of a commander-in-chief. President Trump promising the nation that they will all be remembered as heroes.
Viewers noticed, and the backlash was swift, forcing Fox and Friends to apologise later in the broadcast.
Before we move on, we want to acknowledge a mistake made earlier on our program. During our coverage of yesterday's dignified transfer, we inadvertently aired video from an older dignified transfer instead of the ceremony that took place yesterday. We deeply regret the error and extend our respect and condolences to the service members' families.
Yeah, it turns out the incorrect footage was replaced on a string of shows on Fox and News Updates, leading to questions of whether they were trying to cover for Trump's bad decision to wear the cap. Fox News insists it was inadvertent, but conspiracy theorists are not copying it and say the network went too far trying to protect the president. Have you checked out the latest range of McKnight Tonight merch? You could look sexy in a t-shirt or even one of these caps. Or you can have a Rob's rant with me every day by getting your own mug. But maybe you're the kind of person who prefers a back-end quickie. Well, you can get them all and more at McKnightTonight.myshopify.com. That's McKnightTonight.myshopify.com. Get some merch, help us out, and you'll look good doing it. Here comes McKnight Tonight. Now for this week's edition of Shit I Just Don't Care About. And this week, it's video footage exposed by the always terrific Media Diaries section of The Australian. Steve Jackson revealed ABC Four Corners reporter Mark Willesee let a few F-bombs drop when Vox popped while visiting a Sydney restaurant.
Nice street smack tonight. The naysayers have disappeared from the guy. He told them all to get
yeah, off. Yeah, off. We don't like you. I'm from Queensland. You can off from New South Wales.
Oh, you know, like 5 years ago, people would say, have you got council approval to do all this?
Yeah,
I'm like, of course
yeah.
I do. But like, I can't get there. I'm like, yes, you can.
You know what? This is awesome. Off council.
I'm paying wages.
Is
I'm
it
paying
more?
Yeah.
I've even heard it from New South Wales. Like,
I'm paying taxes. Like,
yeah.
Give me a medal.
Look, it's good fodder for the Media Diary, and geez, hasn't that been kicking goals with Steve Jackson? But for me, I just don't give a shit if an ABC reporter swears while they're having dinner and caught on camera. But anyway, maybe you do. Maybe the ABC lovies do. Probably not. All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Media McKnight. New episodes are uploaded to YouTube at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Just go to youtube.com/@McKnightTonight. And if you're a paid member of the channel, you get them as soon as they're available, sometime in the afternoon. And the written article is always available Wednesday morning for your reading pleasure. I'm Rob McKnight. I hope to see you next week. I'll see you then.